Good morning, children. Today we will be starting a new lesson in our English literature textbooks, okay? It is on page 24. Rikki Tikki Tavi. Now, Rikki Tikki Tavi is a story about a young mongoose. And so, children, you like to keep pets, yes or no? Some of you have dogs, some of you have cats. Now, this little boy in this story, he finds a mongoose and he keeps him as a pet. Okay, so let us start the story. Rikki Tikki Tavi. Rikki Tikki Tavi is a short story in the Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. It is about the adventures of a valiant young mongoose which is separated from its parents in a summer flood. Now read on. So this story is about the adventures of a valiant mongoose, the exciting experiences of a brave mongoose. Okay, so let's read on. Rikki Tikki Tavi was a mongoose. A mongoose is an animal a little bigger than a rat with a long bushy tail. Okay, if you have seen a mongoose or if you can Google it, it will be nice. There's a picture of the mongoose here in your book also. Okay, it usually they say that a mongoose is the enemy of a snake. Okay, so let's read on. Rather like a little cat in his fur and his tail, but quite like a weasel in his head and his habits. His eyes and the end of his restless nose were pink. So the mongoose, this is a description of the mongoose, how the mongoose looked. He could scratch himself anywhere he pleased with any leg. So he was very, very flexible. He has, how many legs does a mongoose have? 4 legs, okay. So he could use any leg to scratch himself anywhere. Okay, front or back, that he chose to use. He could fluff up his tail till it looked like a bottle brush. And his war cry as he scuttled through the long grass was Rik Tik Tikki Tikki Tick. One day, a high summer flood washed him out of the burrow where he lived with his father and his mother and carried him kicking and clucking down a roadside ditch. So what happened one day? The mongoose was in his burrow and there was a big flood. So the water washed him out of the burrow and carried him down a roadside ditch. He found a little piece of grass floating there and clung. That means he held on to it tightly because he was so scared and clung to it till he lost his senses. That means he fainted. When he revived, when he came out of his faint, he was lying in the hot sun on the middle of a garden path. Very draggled indeed. He was wet and dirty and all his fur was matted. Now you give a bath to your dog. How does his fur look? All wet and draggled. And a small boy was saying, "Here's a dead mongoose. Let's have a funeral." "No," said his mother. "Let's take him in and dry him. Perhaps he isn't really dead." So the mummy said, "Okay, no, we won't have a funeral." What is a funeral? When people die, you take them to the graveyard. Christians are buried. Hindus, they take them to the riverside and burn them. Okay. So this little boy thought this mongoose was dead. So he wanted to have a funeral for him. Maybe bury him in the garden. But his mother said, "No. Let's take him in and dry him. Perhaps he isn't really dead." They took him into the house, A big man picked him up between his finger and thumb and said he was not dead but half choked. So this big man, he picked up the mongoose by his finger and thumb and he looked at him and he said that he's not dead, he's half choked. That means the water's entered his throat. Okay? So they wrapped him in cotton wool and warmed him over a little fire. And he opened his eyes and sneezed. Now, said the big man, he was an Englishman who had just moved into the bungalow. Don't frighten him, and we'll see what he'll do. It is the hardest thing in the world to frighten a mongoose. Why? Why is it hard to frighten a mongoose? Because he is eaten up from nose to tail with curiosity. You know, some children are like that also. They want to know what is there, what is happening outside, what is in someone's bag. So curious. They want to know everything, what is happening everywhere. So this mongoose is like that. So he is not frightened. The motto of all the mongoose family is run and find out. So you have a motto in school also. What is the motto of your school? Per ardva ad astra. What does it mean? Through hard work to the stars. That means if you work hard, you can reach the stars. And the motto of the mongoose family is run and find out. See, their motto is also so curious, okay? Rikki Tikki was a true mongoose. He ran all around the table and jumped on the small boy's shoulder. Don't be frightened, Teddy, said his father. So what was the boy's name? The boy's name was Teddy. And when the mongoose jumped on his shoulder, his father told him not to get frightened. That's his way of making friends. Ouch, he's tickling under my chin, said Teddy. Rikki Tikki looked down between the boy's collar and neck, snuffed at his ear. That means, try to smell his ear, and climbed down to the floor where he sat rubbing his nose. So, okay, children, we will do the lesson till here today. Okay, we will continue the lesson tomorrow. Please read the chapter, read till here, underline all the difficult words that you don't understand. Okay, so we will continue tomorrow. Thank you.